guys, so this is Rosemary from The Busy Budgeter, and it is literally like 11 o'clock at night. We just put the kids to bed, and we've had a bunch of emails, or I guess I should say I've had a bunch of emails with people asking for help because they really want to take Elite Blog Academy, and their husbands aren't 100% on board, and they were hoping that they could talk to me about my experiences with John. So what I was thinking would be cool is if we actually brought John up and kind of did like an impromptu video and just kind of got his perspective on things, because, you know, I always tell people about what this experience was like for me, and John never kind of gets to tell his story. So I'm going to interview him because he's nervous. And this is our dog. Like, if you see like crazy like whirlwinds around, that would be our German Shepherd. Okay, so John, my husband.
Rosemary.
This is so awkward. We should not be doing this. Okay. So tell me what you were thinking that day back in September of 2014 when I was like, baby, I'm going to be a blogger. This is the best thing ever. Like, what was going through your head?
Well, I think the first thing I thought about was our bank account and how little money we actually had in it. But I knew it was something you really wanted to try, and you know, spending several hundreds of dollars on a blogging course to me was like, all right, is this like some kind of like scheme or what's going to go on? And I was really nervous about saying yes to that, but you promised me that you're going to work really hard on it, and that it was going to be money well spent, and it ended up being that. So
it's funny because, like, I tell my readers about how we replaced our gifts for the year, like my birthday gift and Christmas gift and everything like that. And that was, like, my promise that, oh, no, it's not even going to come out of our budget. Long term, it'll all work out.
Right.
So I'm just curious, like, was there any part of you that was like, this is a good deal, like, this makes sense? Or were you just kind of, like, going off of, like, a leap of faith that this was going to work out?
I didn't really have a lot of experience with it to say it was a good deal or make sense. I had no idea that someone could make a full-time income blogging, so I thought it was more of like, I'm going to spend this $300 and I'll probably make the money back at some point. And that was kind of the deal, that, you know, this is going to be your birthday, your Christmas, your Valentine's Day, your anniversary, your every other holiday that we're going to get you a gift for, a present, because we don't have the money for it, really.
Yeah.
And hopefully you will make that money back somehow. And wow, it's been insane since then. So, did you feel going into this like I don't know how to ask this without putting myself down. Did you know going into this that once you figured out what blogging was and what bloggers do, was there any part of this where you're like, oh, I bet you would be really awesome at that? Or were you kind of like, this is going to be a disaster? No, I mean, I always thought you were a very good writer.
Oh, sweet.
And I really enjoyed reading your posts and things, but I didn't really know there was an audience for that. I didn't know that the people actually wanted to come and read these bits and pieces of our daily lives, as told by you, and to kind of follow through our journey, our financial journey, as it were, with your blog. And I was surprised that there was so many people who were really interested in that. And really, for, it seems like a lot of different topics, there are always some kind of following that really wants to subscribe to that and read about these kinds of things. And I was really surprised. I didn't think that was going to be... Yeah, I thought it was great. I thought you were going to be good at it, but I didn't know how that would actually make money.
So you had faith in me, but you just didn't really understand blogging. So maybe your faith wasn't really in blogging. I
knew that you would write well and you would present a good product, if you can call it that, or a good blog. But I didn't understand how that translated into making money back. How that translated into, okay, it's an investment into our future and, you know, our financial future and things like that. So
let's talk about, there was, and I think like I don't know if we're like super honest here, but maybe a little too honest. But so there was a period of time when I had first started, like I was in EBA, I was doing the assignments 10 hours a week, and there was not a lot of time left over for John Gruner.
Yeah.
How did you feel during that? Because at that point, you didn't know that I was going to be successful. I didn't know I was going to be successful.
I mean, I was subscribed to it. I was into it. Like I said, yes, we're going to do this. And I took care of the kids at night and did bath and bedtime, things like that. There were times when I admit that I was like, look, you just stare at your computer all day long. Like, how am I supposed to accept the fact that this is going to be good for us? But
it's
it was
like verbatim, exactly what he said, too.
It really is. I was like, really? At the time, I worked full-time for the government, really, and I just didn't equate the staring at the computer all day long with, I get off my job and do things all day long. And in reality, it seems like she got more done than I did at my job. But
true facts.
Yeah, it really, I really didn't see it in the beginning as work.
Yeah.
And I saw it more as a hobby or just, a passion project until seeing like actual income. I mean, when it was like, oh my goodness, you basically made our mortgage payment for the month.
That was pretty
And
fun.
then, oh my goodness, you made our mortgage payment in 1 week. Things like that were really eye-opening to the potential that it has.
So, was there ever a moment that you were like, this is going to be huge, or was it just always kind of a surprise? I felt like I was always surprised by it.
I feel like I was always surprised as well. I don't think that there was a moment where I was like, this is going to be enormous, to be crazy. I think most of the time you were telling me those things, and I was like, yeah. People really care about, the meal prep we did this week and how much money we saved at the grocery store. Like, people really care about that. Like,
yeah.
I was not convinced that was still, like, a thing, even though that you were obviously making money doing it.
Yeah.
I was not convinced that was going to be something extremely lucrative. Or something that could, by the way, bring me home from my full-time job and allow me to do the things I wanted to do.
That's because he's not on Pinterest. If he were on Pinterest, he would know that everybody wants to read about this.
Well, correction, I am on Pinterest. I just don't look at Pinterest things that probably you look at. So.
That's true. Okay, so how has life changed for you? I mean, I know all the reasons, and trust me, I tell all of them about how life has changed for me, but kind of coming from the male perspective, like, how has life changed for you because you invested in me?
On a very, kind of selfish, personal side, it's allowed me to kind of come home from my full-time job and focus on the things I always wanted to focus on, working on starting a business, and at this point in my life now I've kind of transitioned into a training for a new career, which I had wanted to do for a long, long time, and I could never afford to.
You should tell everybody what it is. That's kind of cool.
Well, I've always I am a private pilot. I've been a private pilot for 10 years, spending my own money trying to fly around, which
oh my
is
God, super great for
probably
a
the
budgeter.
most expensive hobby ever.
God, terrible. Don't do that, husbands.
But I've always wanted to do it commercially, and I never had the money or time to do that. And the blog has enabled me to do those things, and enabled me to go off and I'll spend the next 6 months training to be a commercial pilot, and I'm really looking forward to that. But for the last 10 years, I've looked into doing that. I've never been able to make it work. And her blog and her work and her diligence, and specifically EBA, has made that a possibility.
Do you feel like it takes the pressure off you? Like, you can kind of explore and find yourself. Like, now that I found myself, does it give you a chance to kind of do the same thing?
It does in a way, but I will admit that the pressure is on because now I have this big person to live up to, I guess, or this
That's really sweet.
This person who I want to impress myself, and I'm not sure if I can do that because it's been so incredibly lucrative for you.
I think what I was supposed to say was no, baby, and I'm like, oh, that's so sweet that you recognize that.
Yeah.
It was awkward.
Yeah.
We're gonna, Well, I mean, you're kind of pretty awesome in your own right, so I don't think it's gonna be hard at all. All right, so what would you tell, because the reason why we're doing this video, I don't know if I filled you in on that. This is kind of like a surprise at 11 o'clock at night. What would you tell a husband if their wife was super into this, really dedicated, and I don't know if you know this, but I write really long reviews of EBA. They have to read 6,000 words of all of the reviews before I give them my endorsement of whether or not they should be able to take it. So if someone is committed enough to be like, I really, really want to take this class, and they're talking to their husband, and their husband is not convinced that this is a thing, what would you want to tell them?
The first thing I say is, one, watch this video. And take it from me,
Good advice.
like, it is possible. It's a possibility. You know, it's not for everyone, but if you really put the work into it and you really follow the steps, especially as outlined in like EBA, because I've read through the EBA program, and there's no doubt in my mind that if someone follows the steps, step by step, like, you will be successful in some way. You may not be a multimillionaire, but it is entirely possible that you can replace your full-time income.
Yeah.
The second thing I would say is, if you are watching this video, please forgive the fact that it is like completely tilted the wrong direction. It's like all off center.
John is the type A personality in our relationship, in case
really,
you didn't know.
Just take a chance. I mean, I've always been the kind of person who thinks, like, look, you have one life to live. This is it. Like, no regrets. Like, do what you really feel is right. And at that time when she asked me if she could do that, it felt like she was very sincere, like it was going to work, like she was going to make it work. And for her, she had to make it work. She wanted to be out of her full-time career. She was running home daycare at the time.
So tired.
There's so many kids running around my house.
He loved that time, trust me.
Yeah. If you're in that situation, just say yes. But if you're not in that situation, just say yes anyway, because honestly, you know, give them the chance to try it out and see what it's like. It's a short-term investment for a possible long-term payoff. So.
And I think it's interesting because we've talked a long time about that before, where John and I have had a brick and mortar business that was just so much risk. I mean, it was so much that you had to put into it. It's so much capital contribution, which is like a nice way to say a ton of freaking money. Like, capital contribution sounds so like I don't know, like calming, but it's really just a ton of money and a ton of risk. And I think compared to like an online business, like the rewards aren't very much. Like, I feel like you risk a lot and you don't necessarily get a lot back. The profit margin is so small, and compared to an online business, like online business has really, really high profit margins, very low risk. And if you think about the fact that I spent a couple $100s to make, I mean, I've been making over $20,000 a month for over a year and a half now, consistently.
Right.
So, and when you think about like the risk versus reward of that, it almost seems like it's almost stupid not to take a leap. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, if you think about it that way, brick and mortar business, tell you from my own experience, $20,000 a month, we would be operating at a severe deficit. I mean, the real estate and you know, other fees and employees other things, it's so much. But with a blog, it's so much of it is based on your home PC and your home office, however you set that up, and you can save money there like crazy. And you know, I'm not a tax professional, but you know, tax incentives with using your home as a home office and things like that, it just makes more sense. There's way less overhead.
Difference.
You're not paying for separate utility bills and gas bills and electric bills and things like that. It's just.
And we didn't know all of that, like, at the time that I signed up for EBA. I think our plan was still to have you be in a traditional business, me be in an online business, you know, if it worked out. And one of the things that I think we've learned over the last 3 years is, like, it just makes so much more sense to do online. So really, you should be grateful that your wife is not like, I'd like to open a restaurant. Because then you would have to put up $650,000 and you risk your entire retirement and everything else. Versus this, it's like a couple $100 and then just kind of see what happens. And I will never forget, I don't know if you remember this, but when I signed up for EBA, like when I asked you and I had this whole big like quick presentation that I'd put together in 10 minutes and was like, okay, here's my whole plan. Do you remember what you said to me when you said yes? You said, you have to do this. Because if you don't, you're going to regret it for the rest of your life. And I'll never forget that. And I tell people all the time that, like, when we have fights or when I get mad, I'm just like, man, he was like, you just believed in me. Do you know what I mean? When kind of, I don't know that, I think that you could have easily said no and it would have made sense. But the fact that you said yes, like, just made the difference out of everything in the world. So.
And I would remind people, like if you're going through this, your spouse, significant other, whatever the case may be, you will think this person just stares at a computer all day long, is on Facebook all day long, they're not doing anything, just on Facebook, they're just writing things on Facebook, or they're liking things, or commenting things, or just, you know, taking pictures. And I can't tell you how many times I had to not eat our dinner so she could stop and snap a photo of it first. And it had to be perfect, so that took like 5 or 10 minutes.
You would get so mad. That was true.
It's not a game. They're actually working. Let them do their thing. It'll work out.
I'll tell you what, once you get past the buying a VBA part, if you get stuck and your husband's getting mad at you for blogging, then write back and we'll do another video.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's it. We have to go to bed because it's literally like 11:10 p.m. We're old. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you. Bye.